What's an industry secret in the field you work in? At Goodwill 50% of what you donate ends up in the trash. BC we don't have the space for it, or we just deem it too ugly. Used to screen resumes for small companies. Job requirements are more of a wish list situation. Never let some unchecked boxes deter you from applying. You have no idea what the applicant pool is like. The biggest boon, especially at small companies, is someone who legitimately cares. Former Bath & Body Works associate here. The scent they discontinue will come back with a different name and new marketing. They're just recycling the scents. There is way more butter than you think in almost every dish you eat at fancy restaurants, and that is usually the reason you won't see the amount of calories in each dish. Source: 5 years as a chef and Italian cuisine head chef, 8 years in an Italian kitchen. The cheapest bottle of wine in the restaurant has the biggest markup. And your 6th glass of sangria might actually just be boxed wine with some fruit in it. If you're someone who purchases bulk nuts, grains, etc., just know that those beans are probably rarely cleaned. And even when they are cleaned, odds are they were just rinsed out / wiped down to look clean. I used to be a bulk buyer at Whole Foods Market, and when I took over our bulk department had no cleaning logs or sanitizing procedure. The bins had moths / insect colonies and mold in them. Our store was open nearly 5 years prior. Oh no. Everything at the Container Store exists and is cheaper at Lowe's. Edit. Even the drop front show boxes. You just made me so happy. I love Container Store but so expensive. Not an industry I work in per se, but I used to be in a sales role. One of my customers was a milk bottling plant. I was somewhat surprised that they were putting the exact same milk in both organic and non-organic cartons. Turns out all of their milk is organic, but in order to not miss out on the sales of non-organic milk, they just bottle them differently and sell them at different prices. This one is both startling and interesting. Some therapists / counselors are on the wrong side of the couch, so to speak. If you feel your mental health provider is unhinged, they may very well be. At Goodwill, we don't clean anything that we sell, and we get some really gross stuff that touches everything else. So next time you buy something from Goodwill, wash it well. Then why does it all smell that same distinctive chemical smell? Do you douse it with something? Nobody uses bots to inflate metrics more than the most major players in the entertainment industry. All the numbers are fake, including sales. It costs about $200,000 to put your own book on the top of the New York Times bestseller list. All you have to do is buy a lot of copies yourself. And if that bestseller status helps you sell more books, you can make that $200,000 back by selling the big stock of books you've collected. If in doubt, lubricate. I'm a machinist. If in doubt, tighten all the screws and bolts. I maintain heavy machinery. You'd be surprised how willingly someone will do their job and even go above and beyond if you just compliment them for their professionalism, politeness and how they are helping them. As a cashier, I'm not even ashamed to admit that I will do more for you if you tell me I'm being helpful. The industry leading software is at least 10 years old at its core. This should be pretty obvious. But for big brand hotels, if you try to sneak above the hotel and call the corporate customer care line to demand compensation / complain, that customer care line will always call the hotel for the full story and not just blindly give compensation. When I used to work in a hotel, we would call the customer care line preemptively. If a guest was acting up and we thought they'd demand compensation for something stupid, we'd get our story on record first. X happened. We offered Y. Guest refused and got angry and rarely got charged, even if the guest was compensated by customer care. As a former TSA worker, airport security is out of theater. TSA is constantly failing plainclothes inspections. I worked with a guy who got fired because someone showed him an ID with a picture of Mickey Mouse on it and he let the person through because he wasn't paying attention. I too work in aviation. ITSA is tested by something called red teams. They basically try to get things past security. Their success rate is in the 90% range. In Microsoft Office, Word specifically, you can upload recorded interviews and it will transcribe it and ever have speaker 1 and speaker 2, 3 and 4. Basically, eliminating a huge annoying part of the job. What? But how? Go to Home Dictate drop down transcribe. Select upload audio. Choose an audio file from the file picker. Transcribe currently supports WAV, MP4, M4A, MP3 formats. I'm a fossil replicator and apparently the industry secret is the fact that we exist. So many people are blown away to learn that most fossils they see in museums are replicas. Edit. Okay, I'm heading to bed, but I'll be back in the morning to continue answering questions since there are so many. Edit 2. We haven't done much with it, but the company I'm with does have their own Reddit to share fossils we find on digs and occasional stuff we are working on. U/deep fossils. Not a fossil, but I remember the museum where I grew up had a replica of the world's largest piece of fool's gold. Not a replica of the world's largest piece of gold. Not the actual largest piece of fool's gold. A worthless copy of a worthless piece of iron pyrite. Fool's gold. Edit. OHH my goodness, thank you for the adler actually. Please don't do this. The person on the other end of that toll-free number almost never works directly for the company you're calling. I used to work for a call center that handled calls for a big truck rental company. We handled all the reservations and customer service, and we didn't even work directly for the company. Every client thinks architects are unnecessary and they can draw the plans themselves, but they are just too busy. Federal laws here. If you put the words from the vacancy announcement about what you need to qualify in your resume, you'll almost always be qualified. We search for those words instead of reading an entire resume. Edit. Let me clarify that we, or at least I do, and those I train, will continue to scan the resume for similar experience/words and not discount the entire resume immediately. After over 10 years of working for hours, you learn what you're looking for and how to do it. Some are easier than others. I know of some hours folks who totally just say non-qual if it's not exact. I wonder if companies with 100s of resumes would get better hires from taking 50 and reading them carefully rather than putting 500 through an automated process. Well, first of all, what you do is take half the pile and throw it in the trash. You don't want unlucky people working for you anyway. Weight loss industry. This might be obvious, but most of our business comes from return clients after they've gained their weight back and then some. To be clear, the plan isn't rigged to make you gain it back, but the fact that it happens easily as a result of dieting keeps us in business. This is why weight loss is so hard. Gotta change your lifestyle permanently, not just for a few months. The real problem is people think of the word diet as temporary eating less rather than making permanent changes. They'll go on a diet, drop a few pounds, come off the diet, and go right back to where they were. Construction boy here. If your windows or sliding doors are tough to open and close, 9 times out of 10, we put your own dish soap on tracks and the thing works perfectly. It takes 5 minutes and we charge 150. Dish soap people. It's better than WD-40 sometimes. Literally not 5 minutes ago I was closing the slider in my bedroom thinking back, quote, it's time I finally look up solutions to make this thing glide easier. So I hopped on the internet, naturally got distracted by Reddit first, and now here we are. So serendipitous. The kind donations people give hoping they go directly to the clients in shelters actually end up at the Salvation Army or Goodwill to be resold, even though we are instructed to tell them that won't be the case, and this is done before the clients are even given the chance to decide if they want some of the donated stuff. Is there a specific logic behind this? Like cleanliness or preventing bedbugs or space? I'm a teacher. If you as a parent will read with your child often and early, your child will thrive in school. I'm talking daily books read together from newborn to about 3rd grade. Every single day. No teacher can replace that. A lot of successful artists at a certain level of success do nothing more than create a concept and employ several assistants, who are either current or graduating art students, who actually make the art itself. It's reproductions or both. Edit. I know this is old news in the art industry and academy, but outside of it, I found it very hard to explain my job to people. I do believe that films also romanticize this field and warp what a lot of outsiders think it actually is. Can 100% vouch for this. I make about the salary of a teacher less creating artwork every day for a recognized contemporary sculptor, who then picks up the work from me at the studio, and then sells what I made for hundreds of thousands. But hey man, his idea. Industry no RMS. A lot of librarians will waive your fines if you have an excuse and you don't ask too frequently, even large fines. Also, librarians don't care about your fines and aren't judging you. Please come back. We personally have more fines than you. Librarians are always overdue with their books. Edit. I wrote this before going to bed, and it exploded overnight. Thank you kind strangers for the awards. I'm touched. All your fines are waived for life. Also small grammar edit BC, I was nodding off when I wrote this originally. Library worker here. The majority of donations we receive do not end up in circulation on our shelves. No matter how much you demand, we put them there once they are donated. The reason why this is because we only add items to the collection that we think will circulate, be checked out. Most libraries get funding based off of statistics. We don't want to waste shelf space on items that PR aren't checking out, as it won't improve our stats. So, unless the donated items are brand new or by popular authors, we will not add them to the collection. We will also weed unpopular items from our collection with extreme prejudice for this reason, much to our patrons' horror. These books usually end up being sold at book sales to help generate funding for other library programs. My library does the same. Also, when people buy replacement copies of items they've damaged, we don't replace it with the copy they bought. We'd rather you just pay the replacement fee. That way we can get what we want in terms of edition. As a software engineer, double your delivery date for a product in anticipation of an overeager project manager trying to get promoted. Knowing how to research the answer to a question is at least as, or even more useful than knowing the answer to begin with. I made a living in it for a decade with that mindset. I don't know any programming languages, but I know how to translate. It's worked so far. Structural engineer here. Everything has a chance of failure. It's too expensive to build everything to be 100% safe. Firefighters are trained on several areas and can specialize deeper into certain disciplines. Most of the emergencies we get called to are situations we have never been trained on, but with 4 of us on a fire truck we can normally figure out a solution. In my county, a girl got stuck in a clothes washer. I wasn't on the call, but there's a video of it online. I remember doing car extrication in the academy, but not washer extrication. They lie to their customers about saving their credit card information because we aren't supposed to. We also save their social addresses and 5 of their most recent phone numbers and bank account numbers. The life of a student loan servicer. A huge portion of online reviews, ratings, social media presence, etc. that you see for any given company are fake, paid for, or done by multiple accounts controlled by us. This includes the company's Glassdoor page, fake reviews about how great it is to work there, so that the million negative reviews don't crush their page. I'm not saying it's every company out there, but it's been a lot of the ones I've worked for. Source: am copywriter. What are ethics? I surely don't know anymore. Edit: RIP my inbox. Can confirm on Glassdoor had a company-wide initiative from the higher-ups to post positive reviews of our workplace. BC it was getting hammered by negative reviews. For a while you could tell the fake positive ones BC looking at the dates they were posted. Suddenly a dozen positive reviews on the same date. Yep, all planted. As a beginner counselor I worked with a lot of children and adolescents. Consistently the discussion with my colleagues was how it was the parents who were the biggest problem and the kids were just adapting to a crazy environment. Oftentimes I wonder how a patient got to be a certain way, and then I meet their parents. My psychiatrist. Not really a secret, but some wholesale nurseries will sell plants for a fraction less than public nurseries and big box retailers. Like 1 gallon of a shrub will sell for $16 at Home Depot, but at a wholesale nursery that same plant will cost like $2 to $6. Edit: some wholesale nurseries are open to the public. I went to a wholesale nursery once. They had a little printout with a map, a price guide. Price was based on pot size, and a little ruler, so you could measure pot diameter. Was a great time. I picked up some nice plants at a great price. I'm a musician. It's not really a secret, but 90% of our revenue is from merch. Spotify plays, show guarantees, etc. Everything is menial in comparison to shirt sales. In fact, a big reason bands tour as often as possible is because we can sell more shirts when we are in front of people. Edit: thanks for the love guys. To those asking, I sing for holding absence. How is it now? I've been looking at some merch for kind of lesser known bands that I really like, and they have their online stores open, but I'm afraid the shipping is not making it worth it for them. You make independent musicians day every time you listen or buy merch. We see our listener charts, and we ship out the merch ourselves. For the most part. The lighter the roast of coffee, the more caffeine it has, not the other way around. So often I'll hear people say I'll take a light roast. I don't want to be up all night after all. Haha. Remember the caffeine is in the bean at the start. The more you roast it the more caffeine burns off, since it's in the natural oils of the bean. If all other vitals are fine, and they are not in any sort of visible respiratory distress, most don't physically count respirations each time vitals are taken. This drives me so crazy. Cause I'm the idiot that actually does count resps for a full minute and I miraculously find they're sitting at like 25, and I have to try and explain to the doctor why I have suddenly discovered this. You can see it in the obs chart who actually counts as patients will sit at 12 to 20 all day and then at the start of a new shift jump to 30.